All right, everybody, and welcome to the show. And today we have on Glory and Grind, we have Miss Renee Martinez Epperson.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you
Good
are. Hello.
evening, wherever you are in the world. Right on. So, Renee, today in the show, we're going to talk about caregiving, right? What does caregiving mean to you?
It's willing to help somebody that you love or somebody that you know or somebody in the community that needs help. So caregiving is different things to different people, depending on how long you're caregiving for and what it really consists of. Is it support, emotional support, or is it something more than that?
Yeah. So, take us back a little bit before we're going to be talking in this episode about caregiving and the importance and different things that it involves. But take me back a little bit and what's your background? And then how did it go into caregiving where we're going today?
It's started a long time ago, to be honest. I started as a uh, social worker in the emergency department.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that there was an emphasis on taking care of the patient, and the focus is on the patient, which is where it should be in an emergency department. But when you're coming in and you don't know what's going on, so you're the caregiver or the spouse or whomever, you don't know what's going on. And you just want to be able to have somebody who can be with you to explain what's going on behind the walls that you can't see,
Mm-hmm.
give you some updates about what's going on, help to support you so that you're not very anxious and overwhelmed and tearful. You want somebody to be there with you. And so in that role is kind of where I started noticing that while we focus a whole lot on the patient where it needs to be, there's also a real high need for caregivers. So that's kind of where it started. And that was years ago. And then a couple of
So it's
years.
like people are getting thrown into the role of being caregiving and don't even realize it,
Correct.
because but the main thing is there's people out there who were once just living normal lives and then all of a sudden fell into a role that maybe they weren't even ready for.
You're normally not ready at all. You
Mm.
don't know what to expect, and you're doing the best that you can, but it's always helpful to have somebody who can guide you through all of it, somebody who has some experience.
Did you have anybody guide you?
Funny that I've been doing this type of work, care management, care coordination, behavioral health services for years. And although I have one side of experience, I thought to myself, who better to take care of my grandfather than somebody who does this for a living?
Right.
You have an upper advantage, but there's also some other things that you've never encountered because you don't live it. So you can sit
Mm.
here as a care coordinator and you can delegate, this is what you got to do. This is step one, step two, step three. But when you're living it, it's totally different. So
What's the difference between living it?
living it as it's that it's 365 days a year. It's 24/7. There isn't a lot of respite available.
What is respite?
Respite is where people can have a break to do some self-care.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say, for example, my grandfather, my dad stays up at night because they have sundowners. So they have their days and their nights mixed up. And I'm ready for bed. I'm exhausted, but yet they're not. So respite is being able to have somebody come and let you rest so that you can be a good caretaker for the next upcoming hours. But there's not a lot of that respite type of care for caregivers.
So walk me through a day of what it looks like taking care of somebody, being a caregiver from like sun up to sundown. Walk
Hmm.
me through a day. Can you
I'll walk
remember?
you through my day because
Okay.
everybody's day is
Yeah.
going to be a little bit different. But I would get up in the morning. Okay. So morning for my grandfather was as early as 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's fine for most people. So we'd get up and we'd get him ready. Okay. And then we try to enroll him in the adult day centers. And we would have to take him from where I lived to the nearest facility, which was
30 minutes away, probably 20, 30 minutes.
probably even 45 depending on traffic. So now we're there and drop him off. And then if he was able to handle that day, he would stay for 4 hours. If he wasn't able to handle that day, then it disrupted my day. And then I had to stop
Go get
my
them.
work. Yeah, I work full time. So I'd have to stop my day and then go pick him up and then bring him back. And then he would want to engage. He was a social butterfly and wanted to have that constant interaction and engagement. and I couldn't. I now have to catch up on work because now
Right.
I'm 2 hours behind because I just to
Had
be
to go
there
get
and
you.
yeah. And the other part is so then you would come back and then you have to clean your house, cook the dinner, do the dishes, get them showered. And showers are not always the easiest part of your day.
Oh, I
Actually, it's
bet.
one of the hardest. And is trying to convince them to take a shower. And does he remember to take a shower and to also respect his autonomy because he doesn't want his granddaughter to see his private
Yep.
areas. And so you're trying to work through a curtain and saying,
Mhm.
here's your soap and here's your towel, taking his clothes out before he gets out of the shower because odds are he'll put them right back on. And so it consists of so much. People don't know. And in the clinical world where I worked, I didn't know that. And so now you're trying to learn this role and what responsibilities you take on, what you've agreed as a medical power of attorney to take this on. And so you have obligations.
And then from there, now you have this obligation. It's almost like you took on another child that's, even though they're your grandfather, it's like taking care of like maybe a 5, 6-year-old,
Well, it's
maybe
just
someone,
taking care.
maybe sometimes a 10-year-old. I mean, you never know what age they're going to
Well,
act that day.
I think with that part, if we took out the child component of it and we
Hmm.
looked at all people with disabilities and we said, okay, something drastic for you has changed. And so now whether you have the memory or the recall to identify that or you don't, somebody has to kind of help you until
Right.
you get acclimated yourself. And then so I guess one thing I would say is it's not so much a child an adult never wants to be called a child. And you don't want to look at them like that either
Okay.
because when you're reframing things, you want to make sure to keep that dignity as
Mm.
much as you can. So if you're talking to an adult like a child, there could be some kickback on that. So what we do is just try to reframe it, even if it's a child like word
Right.
or one step one, two, three. So you're hitting the nail on the head. You're just using different words.
And so you're, like you said, you're reframing to still make them feel like they're who they are,
Yeah.
because that's important. Do you have a time that you can share of an example of how difficult it can be taking care of somebody that has Alzheimer's or dementia?
Well, I think with that diagnosis in particular, what's really hard is trying to figure out when you're grabbing everything from the very beginning, you don't have a clear picture. So you're putting puzzle pieces together, trying to figure out like who's the primary care doctor, who's the dentist, what bills have they paid or not paid?
Mm.
How do I have access to a bank account to
That's a
kind of help?
lot.
It's you're getting all this dumped on you at one time and you really don't know where to start. And so you're learning how to manage medication. If you've never done that in your life, it's quite the big responsibility.
Mhm.
Um, if you've never known anything about diabetes and how to check sugar levels or how to do wound care because of somebody's amputation, you get discharged from the hospital, you get sent home with home health care. But home health care is not in there 24/7. It's an hour or two, depending on the need that you have. Is it physical therapy,
Mhm.
occupational therapy, nursing? But that's on you. So this team is kind enough to show you how to do it, but you don't have the confidence because you've never done that.
Mhm.
So again, you're flying by the seat of your pants. But you're learning. And more power to you that you have faith in yourself in the desire and the passion in your heart to be able to do something like this because it's incredibly hard
Mm.
to do.
So, through all this, you realized that there is a need for caregivers to be cared for.
Yes, it's needed because we're experiencing a lot of burnout
Mhm.
and depression ourselves and anxiety ourselves
Mhm.
and loneliness.
Stress.
Yeah. And what happens when you're stressed out? You don't want nobody to see you like that,
Mm-mm.
right? So you kind of start trying to distance yourself from people, and that's not good either. You need as much support as you can possibly get. And so, even as a friend who knows me as a caregiver, to hear how are you? Are you okay? Can I do something for you? Can go so far for somebody
Yeah.
who's a caregiver. It's those little things. Yeah.
So, what sparked this idea? Let's hear a little bit about your idea and what sparked it.
So I'm opening up a nonprofit organization, and it's
Mhm.
called Antlers Creek Caregiver Foundation.
Mm.
And I'm opening it because I do this for a living, and people are referred to me all the time
Right.
to help them navigate this complex system. And so what happens is the providers are usually referring the patient to me, but it's actually the caregiver who I'm working with.
Mm.
And we're navigating through all the stuff, medical power of attorney, emergency contacts, banking, all kinds of stuff, if you can think of it.
It's in there.
Yeah. So I've noticed that that's what the referrals are. And it's not so much the patient as much as it is that part. But even with that, there's a whole team for the patient, right? There's a nurse care manager. There's a LPN who does some of the
Mhm.
care coordination. Here's some referrals. And then there's us who do more intense work. And so what I did is I figured there's not a lot of support for them. They're calling me and they're anxious and they're depressed and they need somebody to guide them because they're driving on a street that's dark and there's no light.
Yeah.
And so my mother's a caregiver and I see what she does for my dad now. And I know what I went through and all the thousands of people that I've helped over the years has made it where this is one community resource that's missing. So let me help the caregiver. And so that's kind of why I have wanted to do this and why
Mm.
I've leapt into faith that this is going to be successful and people are going to reach out and ask for help. And I do understand the complexities too of like culture, because there's a lot of cultures that choose to keep care within themselves. They don't believe in assisted living. They don't believe in nursing home. They don't believe in people coming into their home to help.
Right. Right.
Well, caregiving is neat. Depending on where you are or where you're at and how you feel about that, you might find it pleasantly relieving that you get to breathe. If
To get a
somebody,
break.
yeah,
I
even
get
if
it.
it's an hour or 2 hours. So the program that I'm creating has three phases. And so the first phase is going to be a phase where it's somebody who's coming out of the hospital, and whether it's an emergency department or a discharge
Just
from
they
an
were long-term
inpatient.
stay there,
Yeah.
something.
And if they are going home and they're like, okay, home health care is not going to come in for 2 days
Mm.
or hospice isn't going to come in for 2 days, it kind of leaves the family in a little bit of an anxious position because we need the help now because we
Right.
don't know what we're doing.
Right.
So why do we have to wait 24 to 48 hours? Well, that's kind of normal because insurance has to get authorization. They have to give approval. I mean, there's so much that goes behind all this stuff. And so what I would do in that case is be able to be the person that's available for the family those 2 days
Okay.
until the services come into place. And it's not going to be a full hour, I mean, a full 24-hour type of deal. This is kind of like, I'm going to get you here. We're going to get a little bit of a game plan in place. I'm going to tell you how this is going to work. And I'm going to be here for you guys these first 2 days, 2 hours on the first day, 2 hours on the second. And that kind of gives you, it's a band aid.
Huh.
That's really all that it is.
Crutch, Band-Aid,
Yep.
something to help you guys in the days where you're like, it's a transitional those are probably the biggest transition days coming home and everything's new and
Mm,
not knowing what to happen, but yet you still gotta wait because everybody has to pay
yeah.
insurance. I'm just
Or
gonna
if
say it.
even that, or the part two is what if you're working and you're like, I can't go stay the night. I have to work.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do is figure out what is this care plan going to look like
Right.
in the next 48 hours so that you have comfort as the caregiver
Mhm.
and the patient has comfort. So again, no medication dispensing, we can't do that. There's no medical components. It's just somebody who's giving the caregiver respite. That's really
Mhm.
it. And somebody who knows how to navigate the system. So there's that program. Then the second program is where you're wanting care coordination. Hey, Renee, we don't have a medical power of attorney. We don't know who the dentist is. I don't know how to access the bank account. I don't know how to, whatever you don't know how to do, I would be the person or my team would be the person to say, okay, let's come up with a game plan. Let's get your story. Tell me a little bit more about what you think you need. I'll be able to tell you what I think you'll need. And then the two of our heads together will be able to develop this care plan and we'll put goals in place. And I'll help where I can be helped and I'll back off where you feel you can handle it. And so that is called care coordination.
Okay.
So that takes place usually no longer than 3 months. Sometimes in some cases that are more complex, it's going to be a little bit longer, but it's 3 months of help. So you're getting your bearings straight, you're learning your responsibilities, you're knowing how to do some things, you're getting comfortable.
So the first phase is kind of right away, the first 24, 48 hours out of the hospital.
Mhm.
The second phase is more like a long-term phase.
3 months of care coordination, getting your bearings straight. You're going to learn how to do this new role, this new responsibility.
And so in that 3 months, how much time a week or day are you contributing to the caregiver?
So in In this scenario, it's really kind of contingent, but I
Mhm.
anticipate that it's gonna be an hour first conversation going over what are your
So like an
needs,
hour a day, hour every 2 days?
hour a week.
Oh, hour a week. Okay.
Mhm,
Okay.
yep. So it'll be an hour a week because if we come up with goals, I gotta give you adequate time to complete those
Right.
goals. So you don't
Okay.
want me calling every day, that
Yeah,
might be
that's
a little bit overwhelming,
too
but
much.
1 week gives sufficient time,
Okay.
um, for you to get
So like
things
4 calls a
accomplished.
month.
Well, depends. So it's all going to be case contingent.
Mhm.
So what I would say in a perfect world is that it's going to be 3 months. It's going to be an hour for the first 2 or 3 sessions. Then after that, 30 minutes. Then after that, you should be in a cycle of here's my routine, here's the change.
Okay.
So 3 months is the cutoff
Okay.
for many.
And that's phase 2.
Yep.
So what's the third phase?
Phase three is okay, we're doing good. But I didn't sleep very well last night. Grandpa was up, mom was up.
Mhm.
I didn't get any sleep. Or, hey, I've been overwhelmed. I just need a little bit of a break. Can somebody prepare a meal? Can
Oh,
somebody do
okay.
some laundry? Can somebody, kind of that just give you a little bit of a window of a break? I don't
Yeah.
know what that would look like
Just kinda gotta
because
play it by ear. It's gonna evolve
it's going
once
to
it
be
starts going.
fixated on what your need is.
Right.
So if you didn't get sleep, then let us see if come to the facility, come let him or her engage in some games and activities, keep them engaged for 4 hours. It gives you a 4 hour break. You have a
Yeah.
doctor's appointment that you have to get to take care of yourself. Come, let them stay with us. Or if getting them out of the house is not something that's appeasing, maybe somebody can go to the house and sit
And
and
stay with them and
yeah,
watch them.
yep.
Wow. So where are you with the organization right now? Where are we at?
We are in the very, very infancy of this program and hopeful and anxious. Currently looking for donors so that we can
To
pay
donate their time?
donate time so that volunteers, so that would be volunteers. We're
Mhm.
definitely looking for volunteers. Somebody, and what we ask for is don't give what you can't commit to, So
Yeah.
if sharing the Facebook social media page is all that you can do, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm greatly appreciative of that. The other part is if you knit, you find it,
So,
yeah, if you have food, if you have
like
anything that you can
games. Yeah.
give.
Be
So that
creative at this point. When you're looking for
exactly.
volunteers, you're looking for people who can fit in a multifaceted caregiving contribution, an organization. So it could be if you have time to give and play games with them,
Mhm.
if you can take care of somebody's laundry, if you can give a haircut, if you could just sit with them, like you said, somebody needs to go to a doctor appointment. So it's basically being able for somebody to say, hey, I want to carve out my time to contribute to this
Mhm.
organization. And that's what it is. There is no time frame. There is no date or nothing. It's just this is I want to volunteer. Here's the time I have. I want to give it to you.
This is what I want to do.
And
That's
this is what
helpful.
I
Like,
want to
what do you
do.
want to do? So I know how to use you and then schedule you with what the caregiver needs. But yeah, so that's exactly how it would work. So we're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people to join our board that are educated. And
Mm,
so I'm looking particularly for somebody who would be interested in the treasurer and knowing what
hmm
work. Gonna
What does that entail? So whoever is
um,
listening that could potentially
It
be
requires
involved.
quite a few hours and a
Mhm.
commitment to go with me to the bank and to do documentation and paperwork, and somebody who has some background in
Accounting.
Yep, or CPA or something
Mhm.
like that. Like, I really want my board to be qualified
Yeah,
professionals
absolutely.
that can donate their time. So, and then I'm also looking for some marketing people. So,
Mhm.
whoever knows how to market, maybe help me build a website. Maybe that's how you volunteer, or maybe you're, I don't know, just marketing. If you
Yeah,
grassroots, talking to professionals,
sharing
yeah.
business
So,
to business.
So there's going to be some volunteers that I really need the hands in, hands on, help me face to face communication, leadership, mentor. And then the other parts is just give what you can, where you can.
Perfect. Do you already have is this organization already a 1C3?
It takes about 3 months to get it officially completed with the IRS. So we are a month and a half in. So I anticipate probably another month and a half we'll have the official. But yes, we are registered. Yes, we have an open bank account, an EIN.
Nice.
Everything's good. And so far, the people that we do have on the board so far is
Mhm.
we do have a active caregiver who's been a caregiver for many years, and she's bilingual. And then I have a businessman who's run some very successful businesses and has a nice background in business and networking. And then there's myself, who in this role will not be a licensed clinical social worker, but I am a behavioral health therapist, a licensed clinical social worker, a care manager, and some other things. And so our board is very knowledgeable so that people can
Multifaceted as well, it
trust.
seems. So you're just looking for a treasurer? Is that all you're missing for your board?
Yep.
Okay. So what is your forecast looking like right now to get all this going where your organization is actually actively running, you have the board, you have some volunteers. How much time are you allotting from it being a baby, a newborn, to it actually on its feet?
I think it really just kind of depends on what the donations are going to look like.
Mhm.
That's because uh, those who are going to be putting in more time and more commitment are probably going to want to be paid. I'm
Mhm.
still creating policies and procedures and standards and training and onboarding. And that takes a long time to get people familiar with something that they're volunteering to do and for
Mhm.
them to be able to fit it in their schedule. So it's going a little bit slower than I had anticipated, but
No
I'm
worries.
hoping that like January 1st, we might be able to hit the ground running. If we have to just accept 5 referrals at one time and I'm doing it by myself, that's okay. But that's all that I can do.
Do you have referrals like already like in hand or people that you already know that are needing some help?
No.
Even if you're not like fully up and running, do you know?
Yeah. What we did is we went to findhelp.org, and I say we, but it's me. We went
Okay.
to findhelp.org and I registered my business on there. And so anytime you look up caregivers, it's going to show Antlers Creek Caregiver Foundation. And you can click on there and learn a little bit about the program and the services and how to contact me and send me an email and let me know what your interest is. And so really that's going to kind of be the starting point. I do have a pretty large network of primary care providers and hospital
Perfect.
people, care managers that I know that I will be reaching out to, but I got to have the team in order to reach out that far, because when
Mm,
they think you're open and you're ready, it'll come.
right.
I'm not there yet.
So how do you fund something like this? Have you looked into that?
There's quite a few grants.
Is there grants?
Yeah, but you can't do anything until you have that EIN and,
Mhm.
well, the IRS, official letter. I
Right.
can't even pick up you can't do much. Your hands are tied until you get that. So,
Right now, the goal is to create awareness. Like
yes,
that's what we're here for, to create
today.
awareness that, hey, there's a new organization coming up. It's geared toward
Mm.
caregivers, towards people who are caring for some loved ones or a friend or family, whatever the situation is. And when you are stressed and tired or you need help, we got you.
Yeah.
Is that's kind of like the gist?
Yep, yep, the
Right
nail on the
on.
head. Yeah. So if you know of anybody,
Hmm.
volunteers, if you know any caregivers that would be interested, or anybody that you can motivate to,
To want to come and help out
mhm,
and stuff like that.
that would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's take a step back because you said you're on, what is it called? Help.org?
Find help.
Findhelp.org. I've never heard of that. So I wouldn't even know that there's help out there like that. But let's talk a little bit of what that is and what how they can find you on there, why they can find you on there.
It's a large database, and this database tells you all of the nonprofit organizations that are within your state.
Strictly nonprofits, correct?
Yes,
And it's called help.org.
find help.
Oh, findhelp.org. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you would go on there. So, for example, if you happen to live in Florida and you had a mother who was in Colorado and you needed to know what resources are in Colorado, then you would just do findhelp.org, do Colorado's zip code, and it would pull up all of the nonprofit organizations that you could reach out to seek
Interesting.
help.
Did not know that.
It's one. I mean, there's many others out there too, but that's the one that we're registered on.
So there's other sites out there just like that are just strictly nonprofit
Mhm.
that will that could attribute help to whatever you very nice.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where do you see this organization maybe in 5 years, in 10 years? What is your ultimate goal?
Yeah. So in 3 years, there'll be another phasing of
Hmm.
what that's going to look like. And I think that I can't really project it right now because I'm not quite sure
Just speak it into existence.
existence.
What are you
Yeah.
wanting?
I don't know yet. I really
Okay.
haven't focused on any of that, but there will be phases. So there'll be a 3 year phase
Hmm.
and then a 5 year phase. And I think what it's going to do is everything is just going to collectively come together. And wherever a deficit is that one of the three programs can't produce, then another program will develop from whatever we identify.
All around caregiving. How beautiful is that?
Thank you.
And so where can people right now, if they, because you're not just right, this is kind of like your side work right now, right? So what's your main work?
I am a full-time clinician
Hmm.
for a very large health organization. And I do strictly just care coordination. I have two behavioral health practices also, and they are behavioral health focused, and they have very different
Dynamics,
ideas.
ideas.
Yeah, one is traditional behavioral health, and then another one is natural medicine. But those are on the back burner right now. So I'm not taking any new clients for those
Okay.
businesses. This one has my heart, and so this is where the focus, the time, the energy, the
When you say it
sacrifice.
has your heart, like you've been, and I know this, and I'm going to share, I been your best friend for years. So you've been, a licensed
Clinical
count,
social worker.
and that's been your heart, or that's been where you've been putting all your mind, body, soul, and spirit. And now all of a sudden it's like, it's like a hard pivot to caregiving. Why is that?
Because you notice that there's a gap. Like, you can only do when you feel like you can only do so much in a particular area and you have to stay within that perimeter, but you know how much help you could be on if you had a little bit more flexibility. And so in a nonprofit, you have a little bit more flexibility to
Mhm.
meet the needs as opposed to a for profit. And so when you work with the thousands of people that I have worked with, or you work with the hundreds of providers that I work with, and they're constantly referring to you or re-referring to you like, hey, I know I sent this referral to you about 3 months ago. I know that you couldn't contact the patient. Can you reach out again? And sometimes there's people who have no way to pay for their phone. They have no access to an internet. They have no transportation. So bring the service to them so that they don't continue to snowball or compact the stressors that they're already surrounded by. Does that
What
make sense?
Yeah, that does. Have you seen what the repercussions of not having your help or that help looks like?
Pretty significant behavioral health. Um, you and then you just never get the services and you give up. I guess you could say it just leads to your own self anxiety. I experienced it myself, anxiety and panic attacks. It just, your health declines and
Mhm.
declines and declines. And it's just kind of like self care is not selfish
Mm.
when you're a caregiver. It's vital. I tell my caregivers all the time, thank you for what you do for our patient. And even though that may sound cliche, how often do they get thanked? How
Mm.
often do they know that the impact or the efforts that they're putting forward has now just opened up a whole bunch of avenues for this patient? If they're the most vital, most important part of our team. And that's kind of what I've noticed too, is like, if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of this person. So
True.
let's take care of you. Let's figure out how to help you so that you can do the good job that you wanted to do. And that's why you're doing it in the first place.
Why do you think that caregiving has kind of been like brushed under the rug? It's probably the best way to say it right now. Like it's been on the wayside. Like there hasn't been enough advocacy for caregivers. But yet they're so, like you said, you can see it in your eyes how important they are and how vital it is not only to take care of themselves, but to the health of the people they're taking care of. Why is there not an awareness out there? It seems like this has just been like I don't want to say like a dirty secret or just it's been hidden. It's like not made it's not there's no awareness of this.
It's kind of like, where does the funding come from? So there's a couple of organizations that have been actually paving some of the way for some of this. And I started reading about this stuff a long time ago, um, probably, I don't know, 10 years ago. And
Hmm.
AARP is one of the bigger organizations that has a huge caregiver concern, passion.
Which is not some
It's the insurance.
oh AARP. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they've been bringing it to the attention as far as like, um, how much money are we losing out on because we're having to call in sick or take what used to be um, grandpa's house and now you're paying his rent. And like, how much does
Hmm.
this really truly impact you? And it really does on every single level. And so people have been looking more into it, and you can go online and you can see some more videos. So on my Facebook account, I try to find every single caregiver that's promoting something and trying to link my caregivers to those resources because I don't know everything.
Right.
I'm good at what I do and I'm very knowledgeable, but I don't know everything. And is there somebody that can serve a message better than I could? Of course. So why not let them do it because they're already doing it? Why do I want to reinvent the wheel? No, I don't have time for that. I want to focus on them. So let my focus be on you. And then whatever resource I can link you to, that's what I'm going to do.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for taking an interest in this and being willing to share it because
Of course.
it's needed. And I have a feeling that once the message is heard and that something is out there, that people will feel anxious to reach out and excited to know,
Uh,
like, what does this look like?
you
How
know,
could you help?
love it. What's the name of your organization again?
Antlers Creek Caregiver Foundation, and it is in Colorado Springs.
And can they find it online? Do you have
Just on Facebook. I don't have
so Facebook?
a website set up yet.
So we can find you on Facebook.
Mm,
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
welcome. Welcome. Have a good evening.
Yay. So what do you think?
Well, we'll
That's just
see.
one of many.
Yeah.
One of many.
Well, and then we can see. So you're in phase one. You say you're doing. So I think what we're gonna do, girls, I'm gonna roll out phases until I start getting because
Yeah.
everybody wants to volunteer, but nobody really wants to
To do
like
the big part,
the
right?
yeah. So I told Edwin the other day, I'm like, did we discontinue?
No.